Have you ever had eyelid drooping or an inability to swallow or an inability to breathe? That's what people with myasthenia gravis may have to deal with in their disease. It's called MG, myasthenia gravis. And it's one of the main reasons people take prednisone. And they have to take it long-term often. And so I wanted to give you some news about the latest treatments available for myasthenia gravis and my perspective as the prednisone pharmacist, because I want to help you not just survive prednisone, but thrive on prednisone. And one of those ways is by getting you off prednisone if at all possible. So what is myasthenia gravis? It's a disease where there's an issue where the nerves connect. It's called the neuromuscular junction, and there's a connector called acetylcholinesterase that breaks down the signal that goes in between nerve endings. And it's not working properly. And so muscles don't work properly. There can be eyelid drooping, and like your diaphragm can actually stop working and you can stop breathing. Your throat can close off. It is a very harmful, very miserable disease. And a lot of people who have it have to go on disability because it is so disabling. Other people can survive with treatment for a long time and live a happy life, just having to take a few medications to support their lives. So it's a huge range. Some people die, like 3 to 5% of people die of this disease. Most people can keep living, just not necessarily at the same quality of life. So the goal is to live the best quality of life. And I recently attended a continuing education program put on by the American Journal of Managed Care. And it was an excellent program, and they had some fantastic slides. So I'm going to share with you what is on these slides because it is relevant to people on prednisone who are taking it, especially for myasthenia gravis. So it's not just about, is the drug working or not? It's about how the whole person with myasthenia gravis. And there are 7 domains that they wanted to optimize, and we're going to jump into a few of them. First is diagnosis, making sure that the diagnosis happens in time to save your life. And then you get pharmacologic treatment, that you're getting actual medication that works for you. That it affects your occupation as well. It's affecting your lifestyle. It's affecting speech and swallowing abilities. It's affecting your psychosocial part of your life. And finally, preventing myasthenic gravis crises. So there's 7 domains they wanted to optimize. So since I'm a pharmacist, let's focus on the treatments of myasthenia gravis. So there is a strategy that basically we don't take the most poisonous medications until the less poisonous medications have failed. We always want to find the best benefit to risk ratio. We want the most effect with the least side effects, right? So we want to get that into the right balance. So the most important thing is to treat the symptoms of the disease. And that's going to save lives. And so that is with 2 options. The first is called an acetylcholinesterase inhibitor called pyridostigmine. That's the one they suggest first. It exactly stops the problem from happening in like that neuromuscular junction, but it doesn't prevent the disease from happening. It's strictly symptomatic treatment. And so some people also may need to have a thymectomy to have their thymus removed. Ooh, yikes. So those are 2 options that help with stopping the symptoms immediately. If that's enough, great. But if it's not, and it isn't in a lot of people, then the next treatment is prednisone. Yeah, prednisone is the next treatment if that one drug isn't enough. And so the problem with prednisone is it causes more side effects than any other drug, and it's miserable. Like, it feels awful to have so many side effects. I took prednisone myself for a bleeding disorder, and it was horrible, all the side effects I suffered. So if you're having to, if you're not having a response to it, if it's not even helping, well, that doesn't make sense to keep exposing yourself to all of those side effects. Or you're stuck on a high dose and you're miserable because the higher the dose, the worse the side effects. Then they suggest adding on another immunosuppressant treatment. And the two most common are azathioprine and mycophenolate mofetil. And these are fantastic medications with less side effects than prednisone. They just don't work as well. That's why we don't jump straight to them. People often ask me, would I take prednisone or would I take azathioprine or mycophenolate? And I would definitely, if your doctor says it's going to work as well, go to those other medications first. They have big, bad, scary sounding side effects, some of them, but often with proper monitoring, like checking your blood levels of certain things, that we can make sure those bad things don't happen to you. I would say prednisone is way more miserable for most people than those other drugs are. So if adding azathioprine or mycophenolate allows you to slowly taper off the prednisone, great. If not, then we need to switch to another alternative. One of those is called IVIG, which is intravenous immunoglobulin, and it's basically just like, here, immune system, here's some help. Let's figure out how to stop messing up my life. And it's super expensive. It requires an infusion and it doesn't feel good, but it saves your life. Like, it'll help you so you can actually breathe or whatever your personal symptoms are having with MG. If that's still not enough, there used to not really be any other options. But in the last few years, the FDA has approved a few new drugs that can help. One of them has a really funny name, and it sounds like you shouldn't tell it to a third grader because they might have potty mouth. And it's called efgartigimod, and another one is eculizumab, and another one is ravulizumab. Those are really ugly names, but essentially they're very, very, very expensive biologic medications because they don't have a huge population of people to sell the drug to. They charge extortionate amounts. Like, it's obscene, $600,000 a year or something. They keep changing the prices. So there are other options, but good luck getting it approved by your insurance company unless you're like really, really struggling with the side effects. They don't necessarily work that well. It's not like a cure. It's not like you'll never have a problem again. They're just supporting you while you have MG. And like, if they cured it, like if you never had to deal with MG again because of this, I could understand them charging $600,000. That would be worth it. But if it's just a chronic treatment that's $600,000 a year for the rest of your life, like, that doesn't add up. Anyway, it's your life and you're worth it, but that is just so much money, and prices anger me. They shouldn't charge that much. Anyway, so the takeaway here is we start with pyridostigmine, then we go to prednisone, then we add on other immunosuppressants. If they don't work, we add IV options. And if they don't work, we have these incredibly expensive options that are now FDA approved. They're just really hard to get a hold of. So what questions do you have about prednisone and alternatives to treatment for your disease? I'd love to know your questions below. And if you are struggling with prednisone and you don't want to have to go on the IV stuff, what are your options for balancing the risks and the benefits? And that's why I created my prednisone checklist. It has the top side effects people experience and what you can actually do to counteract those side effects. So just click the link below and you can get access to the Prednisone checklist. Signing off as Dr. Megan, your Prednisone pharmacist.